Welcome back. And it's time for the newspaper review. My name is David K Sakyi, and I'm going to be going through the newspapers with you in just a moment. I hope you're staying tuned and doing well. You can follow us with the hashtag Breakfast Daily, and also our WhatsApp line is 0550 585832, and you can communicate with us if you have any questions, comments, and so on to give us during the show. All right, so the Daily Graphic, I'm going to give you the headlines. Traffic lights still off after June timeline. Okay. Ghana to host African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. Graphic commended for launch of regional spotlight. Limited voter registration ends. NDC asks for extension. There's also personal security tips. Giant battle in science maths quiz semis today. Okay. Front page of the Ghanaian Times. 521 rendered homeless. Tidal waves hit Agaveji, Sarakope. Okay. Minority leader calls for extension of limited voters registration. Ghana selected to host African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. Fire guts Ministry of Health ICT server room. Okay. Front page of the New Crusading Guide. Ghana wins bid to host the AFCFTA Secretariat. President Akufo-Addo promises $10 million to support operationalization. Pram has no chief. Nene Kweku Dapo in acting position. These are heads of the Royal Gates reveal. 3 before court for defrauding church members. Success of Villac School unfold. Okay. Front page of the Chronicle. No more private container terminals in Tema as MPS 1.2 billion facility starts work. MPP chairman killed in motor accident. Ghana successfully lobbied to host Africa Continental Free Trade. Okay. The front page of the Finder newspaper, 700 million, pay $700 million or we will shut down. 6 IPPs give 8 working days ultimatum. Okay. Ghana to support Africa Free Trade Secretariat with $10 million. Release video of Ajafor's interrogation. This is One Ghana movement. Parliament asks government to address energy sector debts. Okay. The Informer. Okwe hangs Akufo-Addo as sword-cutting letter exposes government's lies on project. National security crumbles as state files nolle prosequi. UTAG falls president. Describes his comments as unfortunate. It says, be open to dissenting views. Don't be influenced by political parties, Kufuor tells EC. Okay. Front page of the Herald. CDS and others detain $200 million new parliament soldier. Okay. Interesting headline. National security under pressure to release interrogation video. Sports minister in trouble over AFCON contract. Front page of the Today newspaper. Energy crisis looms over growing debt. Arthur Kennedy jabs Nana over varsity bill. MPP defectors swerve NDC. Okay. And then on the Gold Street business, indefinite national blackout looms as PDS fails to pay over $300 million to IPPs. Government operationalizes PFM Act Okay, that's the Public Financial Management Act. Export of timber decreases in the first quarter of 2019. And the front page of the Independent, cost of saving a life, blood transfusion a luxury, inaccessible to many who cannot afford it. 10 landing sites for fishers coming. This says for fishers, that's coming up. This says Baumia. Year of return will not be complete without AFCON trophy. All right. Okay. And we go to the online story, City FM online. IF City Newsroom online. CityNewsroom.com, sorry. IFJ, International Federation of Journalists, backs calls for probe into modern Ghana journalists' torture claims. Ghana commits $10 million to setting up African Free Trade Secretariat. Limited voter registration ends with calls for extension. And Damongo health workers demand written commitment before ending the strike. Tafo Pankrono, police investigate death of a man allegedly brutalized by officers. Okay, and then the citybusinessnews.com. We have hosting African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in Ghana is a privilege, says Akufo-Addo. Farmers urged to consider Arabian Peninsula nations as export destinations. Okay, Yofi Grant woos diasporans to invest in Ghana. Okay. All right, welcome back. And my guests are seated and they're ready. I'm going to introduce them right now. Seated to my right is Mr. Kwame Jantua, who is a lawyer and the former vice chair of PIAC, Public
Interest and Accountability Committee.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm breathing, so I'm happy.
Fantastic. Let me also introduce Elvis Darko. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
Elvis is the editor of the Finder newspaper. Yes, I'm doing very well myself.
Great.
Yes. And how's the morning been so far? How's your weekend?
I think the weather is good.
The weather is good. I mean, at least we can walk about.
Yeah, at least the
cool.
heat. Yeah, at least the heat is not on today. I think that's very good.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so let's dive in quickly into our stories for today. We want to talk about the limited voter registration and the challenges that we seem to have come up during the process. Some we're talking about network issues, talking about having to then decide that we're going to go manual, and so we won't use the online process anymore and do it manually. And then the crowds at the different polling stations, not enough polling stations, too many people at the polling station, and so on. Just take us into that and give us your take on what's going on.
Well, it's obvious the Electoral Commission has not prepared well for this exercise. This is an exercise that is registering people who could not register in the last registration exercise.
Yes.
Because they are either not available or they are now 18 years and above. And they themselves said they were targeting at least 1 million people to register. And I remember very well the beginning, they decided that they were not going to do it at all polling stations. And the NDC said that will bring problem. I think the NDC is vindicated based on what is happening. The Electoral Commission should have listened to them. That do it at every polling station, the pressure would have been lower, people can register. But they said no, they won't do it, they will only do it at district offices. And looking at the turn of events, it's obvious that the NDC is justified in its opposition to its plans. And it's sad that in this day and age, we are still going through this kind of hassle in order to register and vote. Elsewhere, people sit in their homes and fill registration forms.
Yeah.
Because people are trying to woo them to their parties and will do anything possible, go to them with the form, they will fill, and they will take it to the register or get a card for them because they want them to vote for their party.
Yeah.
And in this day and age of technology, where we could have done many things some time ago and this pressure wouldn't have been there, we failed to do it. If we had had a proper continuous registration,
Yeah.
I don't think that would be here. If we had a proper system where our death and death registry is linked to a well-established
Online
electronic
database.
database of all citizens and foreigners, where you can just walk in. I don't think that will be going through all this. I think that institutions in this country are just not trying to make life comfortable for the citizens. Because with this day and age, many of these things you can do it and do it. Once you establish the credible roll call database of both Ghanaians and foreigners in your country, and you have continuous registration where people can just walk to office when they turn 18 or when they are unable to register, they can just walk to an office and say, look, I didn't register the last time I'm here and I want to register.
Yeah.
I think that all the hassle and everything we go through just because people want a voter ID card and want to be able to vote would have been eliminated. See, so as Dr. Bawumia famously said, when the fundamentals are weak, the reality will expose you. It's obvious that in this country, things that we need to do to fix our fundamentals are not our priority.
Yeah.
We rather prioritize frivolous things, and at the end of the day, we discomfort the ordinary people because they need access to simple things. And it's about time we either take the bull by the horn or we go nowhere. That is why for me, I'm a staunch supporter of the National Identification Authority project. I'm a staunch supporter of anything digitization that will make life easier for every Ghanaian. That's I support it any day, anytime. And I hope this time round we can do this national ID and do it well and have an effective database and can have continuous registration. And then EC can then source data from NIA and can know how many people were 18 2-3 years ago and just can update their system. And this hassle and everything, it comes at a cost.
It does.
See, the Electoral Commission is doing this at a cost, huge money. The NIA is doing work at huge money. Okay? Apart from Electoral Commission, NIA, which again, they all spend huge monies to do some of these things. The statistical service want to do a census. In many countries, in serious advanced countries, they don't do census anymore because they have had established systems that make sure that at any point in time, just a click of a button, they know the number of people living in their country. So census is not even part of it. But now we are going to spend, I'm told, about 500 million or something, almost $1 billion Ghana cedis, just to do a census. So if you put all this money together, couldn't these monies have been used to do something else? They can. But because we fail to fix the fundamentals, we need to be spending huge monies on these duplicatory businesses that we do in this country. And I think that it is very, very painful that at this day and age we are still doing this kind of things. I wish that we can fix this system, and in the next 5 years we will not have people queuing and going through all this hassle just because they want to get the ID card in order to vote. Yeah.
Mr. Jatwa, what are your initial thoughts on what's been going on in the last few days with this registration thing, particularly with the looking to the issue of lack of access because the EC has decided that instead of having it in every polling station, which is where the people are used to going to vote anyway, but limited to just a few centers dotted around the country.
Thank you. Good morning to our viewers. And if you may permit me,
go ahead.
May I say good morning to two of your ardent watchers.
Okay.
I won't mention their surname, but I'll mention their first names.
Okay.
Lena and Randa. They watch you like nobody else, but they think City FM is the station to watch. So good morning, Lena and Randa.
Good morning to you.
Now, I really do not understand why, as Elvis rightly said, in this modern day and age, we're doing things in the old days. I do not see why it should be so. Voting is everybody's right. Every citizen in this country, so far as you've got to the age of 18, it's your right to vote. So we cannot do the digital form. We have not put that in place. There should be a system where people can walk in into their polling station, into the Electoral Commission,
Yeah.
the moment they turn 18. That responsibility shouldn't be the responsibility of the Electoral Commission. It should be the responsibility of the individual to do, so far as those areas are there. It's not there. So who do you blame?
Yeah.
Who do you blame? Who is responsible? Is it only the Electoral Commission, or is it the government in power? If it's the government in power, then both the NDC and the MPP have no locus to talk about it.
Okay.
Because they've been in power for the last how many years? Have they been able to put
Had opportunities to fix it.
Exactly. Now, the most incredulous and ludicrous thing that they haven't been able to do over the years, but have spent billions of cedis, is national ID card. And as we sit today, that card has not been able to register. Not everybody has it. Why? I don't understand the reason why, when we have institutions and we have government in power, it's the people who are chasing,
Yeah.
the people who are asking,
Yeah.
and it's the people who have put you in place to be able to serve us. Why do we always have to chase? I don't understand that concept. And you try and put the president in the middle, and they tell you, oh, he has so much to do, he shouldn't be bothered with these types of things. So what is he president for? Why has he been voted in power for? He's voted in power to say, Mr. Kwame Jantua, we've put you there as president because we think you have the wherewithal to look after the needs of this country. And you say we shouldn't bother him? We have to, because I don't understand it. Now, the one reason why I think they can't extend this thing is finance.
Okay.
It's finance. If they were to extend it, where are they going to find the money to be able to do this?
But that means you're going to disenfranchise people.
Well, can they be bothered?
Well, that's
Which of them?
That's
can
an illegality
It
anyway.
is, but
You cannot disenfranchise people who are willing and of the right age.
illegality is part of our setup today in Ghana. You showed the video when you were reviewing the news.
Yes.
You showed the video.
Yes.
Of that
The
4x4.
yes, the police
Even the
van.
police standing there was going. That's illegal. Were you able to do anything? Illegality is the name of the game in Ghana today. So if you speak the truth, you are the one who should be questioned. I don't understand it. And if we need the finance, and we have to get the finance, we should go and look for 200 million to make sure that people can vote and be registered. We should go and look for 10 million and find that people can be registered and not only do things that other people will benefit and the whole masses would not.
Do you think that investment has been in the wrong direction, in the sense that earlier on Elvis was talking about the fact that we should have continuous registration in the EC offices, you know. So if investment had been done maybe in the offices to make sure that the offices were equipped and capable to handle continuous registration, we wouldn't be talking about this today.
Do the EC, do they have people in all the regions?
I'm not aware if that's the case.
So that is what they should put in place. We should have small EC offices in all the regions with the Electoral Commission people there. Anybody can walk in at any time. These regions, these offices in the regions should be given responsibility to take census, to be able to, you know, make sure that people understand what the election is about, to even educate the people on the Electoral Commission laws.
Okay.
How they come about it, how the Electoral Commission have the right to put laws forward to Parliament, all these things. A lot of people are ignorant about it. But once you understand those things, it makes it easier. During elections, when certain things happen and the mass of people don't understand. You see, we should sit down and fix the fundamentals in this country. We don't seem to be able to do that. We don't do it with our police service. We don't do it with our hospitals. We don't seem to do it with anything. But come 7th December, we all go and do choboy politics. We are getting to a point where it's beginning to choke us. And we need to find a result. You cannot disenfranchise an 18-year-old from not voting. Because of what? It has to be a continuous process. And things that become very difficult to execute. don't let us say, I'm in power, so I have all the right.
Yeah.
You are not in power, you can't say some.
Yeah.
Those things that affect the people, let's sit around the table and see what solutions we can bring to solve it.
Elvis, extend the registration or not? What's your view?
Oh, as what I have said, it's about whether the EC has finances, because the people who are doing all the work are supposed to be paid at the end of the day.
So
they are temporary staff.
Shouldn't the EC go and find money to make it happen?
Well, if they should do it, but as I said, where's the money? If the money is not there, how do you do it? It's a chicken and egg situation. You need to get the people registered. But those people who go and do the work for you before the people come and register are to be paid. And these are temporary staff, so when they finish their work, they expect to be paid immediately. I don't know the budget of EC. I don't know whether they still have money to be able to do it. If it's a national need and we need to make provision for them in the budget for them to do it, we must do it. No one should be denied the right to vote.
If we don't extend it, are we not setting ourselves up for lawsuits? Because it's an illegal.
We don't even need to get there, because why? The poor person in my village, how will I get money to go and sue?
No, but it's not only the poor person in your village.
Yeah,
there are
that's
people
what I'm saying. So
who are knowledgeable.
What is a right should not be denied people. So the state owe it a duty. We owe it a duty as a state to every citizen. So we cannot use an excuse of money or anything to deny people their rights. Once they are Ghanaians and they have turned 18, or they couldn't register in the previous, and this time they want to, everything must be done for them. If it means that the EC should open their district offices for continuous registration from now to the end of the year, they should do it. Because at the end of the day, the election is going to be in 2020. For the December one, it's just the referendum.
Yeah.
So if the EC claims they can't find the money to put all the staff where they are now, they have district offices, and that is where actually they are doing the work.
Yeah.
So that place, they have permanent staff there. So
all district offices have EC?
Yes, EC has district officers in every district in Ghana. So it would be prudent for them to keep the machines at the offices and let their permanent staff continue the registration. That will not come at any cost to the state. If the political parties really want it, then they must provide their agents there 24 hours to complete the exercise. I think that will be more cost effective to the Electoral Commission, because then they will not be paying people. These are staff who are already on their payroll. So I think that they should consider that decision, because already this particular, they did it only at the district offices. So if you already have your office, have staff there, and we have this large number of people who can register, just continue and let your staff now be the one in charge, whilst you get rid of the temporary staff, which will cost you additional revenue, additional money. So I think that's one thing that the EC should consider. I think that will be very good.
What about the issue of underage voters? Because it came up, in some reports. I've been hearing it in the last couple of days, of people who seem to be underage and cannot prove that they're actually 18, but they're also trying to get registered.
But can the state prove that they are not 18?
Well,
you see, that is what I say. When the fundamentals are weak, the reality will expose you.
But there are some people. No, when you look at the person's face.
No, you see, that is wrong. You can't look at somebody's face to determine age. That is why in every serious jurisdiction, they put in the structures. The day you are born at the hospital,
Exactly.
Your birth certificate is done. Your data is in the system that you are born on this day. You can't go and change it. You can't do anything. When you say you are 18, it's only a click of a button, and they know that you are 18 or not. If the state has failed to do that, how are they putting the burden on the individual? The burden is on the state to prove. I said I'm 18. If you say I'm not 18, it's you, the state, who must prove that I'm not 18. So if you fail to do what will enable you to prove that I'm not 18, then you have no evidence. So this idea of underage voting, and I think that sometimes we try to blame the people. Sometimes it's the political party who abandoned the people there. Let all this happen. If the system is well established, no one can do that. But so long as you allow weaknesses in the system, and people know that you cannot verify, you cannot challenge them, they will take advantage of the loopholes. So for me, this argument of somebody not being 18, I think the onus lies on the state to prove that the person is not 18. If they can't prove, let them register. Because at the end of the day, I cannot look at somebody's face and say you are not 18. I've seen people say, looking at this guy's face, I think he should be 30. The guy said, I'm 40. Say, wow, then you are very handsome. We come across all this every day. So why should anybody tell them they can look at somebody's face and determine their age? So please, let's stop this and let the state understand that if they want to curb that, it's the duty of the state to put in place the infrastructure. And that is the only way we can go about it. But apart from that, I don't know how we're going to deal with this issue.
Legally, does that make sense?
If it went for your grey hair, I'll tell you are 17. But you're not 17.
Well, they say that some people in their family, their grey comes early.
There was a point that you asked Elvis whether the EC can go and raise money. I don't think, I haven't read the law, but I don't think the laws that govern the EC permit them to go out there to raise money. So the burden is on the state to make sure provide the finances. Now,
no, but if I may ask them, on what ground did the EC receive the donation from all the donors and said they can't account to us because it's donor money? If they can't raise money, then we need to be asking that question.
Did they raise it or the donors just gave it to them?
I think it's a little different.
They made appeal that they need money.
Are they supposed to? I don't know what the law says. We need to find out.
So then we need to interrogate that. Because when the issue of the website came and the cost issue, they said it is a donor money. It's not government, so nobody talk about it.
We need to find out because in this country, when certain laws govern certain institutions, sometimes we put it aside and do what we want to do. But most interestingly, the fact that we don't have a birth and death, what should happen? That the moment the child is born, is registered, they should be given a tax identification number at birth.
At birth,
at birth, so that as you grow, that number grows with you, and it's easy to identify when you're 18. When you get to the UK today, the moment you are born, you're given an NHS number, and it lives with you for the rest of your life. Why can't we do that? And why is it that these fundamentals are not taken seriously? It affects elections. It affects political parties. It affects the individual. Why are we being lackadaisical about it? I just don't understand it. Something should be done. And I hope, and sometimes we sit here and we talk, and hopefully we're talking the right thing, but it doesn't seem to make an impact. If the big men are watching this program, they should say, this is what they're saying is true. Let's do something about it. But absolutely nothing. Whose responsibility is it? Is it government? Is it parliament? Is it electoral? Whose responsibility is it? Because you can't disenfranchise the ordinary citizen. It's the ordinary citizen that votes governments in power.
Your final thoughts?
Yeah, for me, as for me, one thing is, if the AC can't find the money, as I said, you have to be innovative. The machines are there, they belong to you. So if they can have a continuous registration, they should forget about which register they want to compile for the referendum. That the referendum is not even the priority. People are looking at 2020. So for me, if they can open their offices from now till December and say anybody who is unable to register, come in, we'll register you. I think that will solve this problem. But to deny people the opportunity to vote is unacceptable. Give the person a chance. If the person decides not to vote, and you see, people go for voter ID card, not necessarily because they want to vote, because it is the only identity they can acquire at this point in time. They don't have a national ID. They don't own cars, so they don't drive. They don't have a driver's license. They have not traveled, so they don't have a passport. Meanwhile, when you go to banks and go to very many transactions in society now, they will ask you for either a voter's ID, driver's license, a passport, or national ID. So since the person is not in the position to acquire all these three at the moment, the one the person thinks he can easily acquire and use for other transactions is the voter's ID. So we shouldn't only look at it from the point of view of only voting. Many people want voter's ID card not because they want to vote, but they want to be able to conduct other business transactions in the country because they will be requested to provide a form of national ID. So we should not only concentrate on voting because people need these things for other things than voting. So we must give them the chance to acquire it.
And again, if they open it till December and you don't go and register,
then
you did it.
Yes, then the onus is on you. Absolutely. Well, my guests are Elvis Darko and Kwame Jantua. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back, and stay in touch with us. Send us messages 0550-585-832. Or that's on WhatsApp, and then of course the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. All right. So we want to talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is something that has been in the headlines in the last couple of days because the president was in Niamey, which is the capital of Niger, for the 12th extraordinary summit of the AU. And at that event, Ghana was awarded the rights to host the Secretariat. We want to delve into that issue, what it means for the country economically in terms of travel, visa issues across the continent and so on. What does all this mean? And then the cost to us. The president has already promised $10 million. I wonder, $10 million of money that, do we have it? And so on and so forth. Let me start with Elvis on this one.
Well, I think the African Continental Free Trade Area is a very fantastic idea. And if we are able to trade among ourselves, it would help us fight our poverty on the continent. Trade is key. The world now is controlled by economic power, no longer the guns you own. And therefore, for you to dominate in that area, it means that you must also have the economic power. Economic power comes from the level of trade that you are able to engage in. And currently, if you look at the figures around the world, Africa does not seem to be doing well at all, especially trading among ourselves. And you ask yourself, a continent that is so rich with all these resources, how come we prefer trading with the countries outside Europe and rather than within? And if you look at critically, there are many things we are doing that is making us poorer. For instance, we have been told that in the cocoa industry, whilst Ivory Coast and Ghana produce the 60% of the cocoa industry is worth over $100 billion a year. But Ivory Coast and Ghana get less than $5 billion of that money in a year. It means that whilst our farmers work so hard to produce the cocoa, they go and turn it into finished product, and the cost quadruples. So they make more money on the back of the hard work of our farmers. And you ask yourself, if a population of over 1 billion in Africa decide to process and consume our own chocolate, wouldn't we be doing better? So the African free trade is a very important thing. We only hope that it will not be treated like the way the AU and ECOWAS were treated. That this one will be real action, that we will make sure that we do a lot of things among ourselves. There are so many things we can exchange among each country, and will make us very rich. Nigeria exports over $2 billion of salt from Brazil for their petrochemical industry. Ghana is sitting here and Songo is here. Why should Nigeria be buying salt worth over $2 billion a year from outside? And last week, a survey showed that we as a country, Ghana, we are even importing salt into this country. This is the kind of things we must change. How can we have Songo and we are importing salt into Ghana? If we continue this way, then our poverty is just going to increase. So for me, this is one of the biggest things Africa had chosen to do. As I said, I hope and pray that every president on the continent will commit to this, will make the citizens feel part of this, so that they will participate in it and make sure that it becomes successful. Because it's the citizens that are going to trade. It's not the government who are going to trade among themselves. It's the people. So if we don't orient the people, if we don't make them understand the benefit this has for us, the people may not do it. As we have in ECOWAS, we are now still fighting. Ghana and Nigeria are fighting why Nigeria should be in Ghana in certain types of business. These are the issues that will crop up when we talk about African free trade. So if we are struggling at the ECOWAS level, the question is the whole continent, how are we going to handle it? So I hope and pray that technical people will lead the thing and make sure that whatever needs to be done to this continent will be done. We are talking about over 3.4 trillion of trade in nominal terms. That is huge if we do this. So it's in our interest, and every citizen must make an effort to begin to understand what a free trade zone means, how it works, so that we don't create friction among ourselves when we are trying to create a free zone. Because that will not work if we begin to antagonize each other. Then the free trade thing will not work, because I'm the one who's supposed to trade with you. So if I'm a Ghanaian to trade with Nigeria and I don't have trust in you, I don't think that, I will still look at Europe or America.
Absolutely.
But it's when I only trade with when I have that confidence. So we need to begin to understand that this is in our interest as a continent, and we must all make it work. When it works, a lot of the problems we have will be closed. Poverty will reduce largely because the wealth of the continent will be shared among the citizens on the continent. But currently, our wealth is being enjoyed in other continents because they are the ones who add value to our raw materials, and it is the finished product that fetches the huge money, not the raw materials. And therefore, we must make efforts to make this work, and it will benefit everybody.
Okay. Mr. Gentleman, the East Africans and the Southern Africans seem to have a smoother functioning, more operational trade community than ECOWAS. I lived in East Africa. I've also lived in Southern Africa. So I have a fair sense of how that functions. In terms of the economics, I'm not so sure about the numbers, in terms of the turnover and so on. But I tend to find traveling across West Africa, Ghana to Togo, Nigeria, Ghana to Ivory Coast, there are a lot of bottlenecks, that makes you question the efficacy of the community that we call ECOWAS. If it's a real thing, it exists in name, it exists on paper, but does it actually function? And we are now extending ourselves beyond ECOWAS to say now that we're doing, I don't know the acronym, how you would pronounce that acronym, but it's a bit mouthy. But the African Free Trade Area, Continental Free Trade Area, it seems, I'm wondering how, are we not going to run through the same ECOWAS issues here? How do we bypass all those things?
The 1966 coup was not only a detriment to Ghana, but to Africa as a whole.
Okay.
This is 53 years late.
This thing that has come to pass.
53 years late.
Okay.
66 to 2019 is 53 years. When Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was in power, what was he trying to do? These were some of the things he was trying to do. Continental Free Zone Area, unified army to protect the continent, the United States of Africa. Don't you think if we were able to achieve it then, by now,
we would have learned
a lesson? What's the population of America?
300, 400 million.
Okay. What's the population of India, China?
It's 1 billion plus, each of them.
Africa, today, we are 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, for me, most important thing, have we been able to tell the traders, Ghanaian public, those who would be interacting in trade, have we educated them to understand what they were doing? Because we don't want a situation where it only becomes by word. Oh, we have a African Continental Free Zone, full stop.
Yeah.
What are the next steps from this? How is it going to operate? How are the people going to understand? Are we going to get Nigeria-Ghana issues we are getting today? What will it take for this particular thing to materialize and benefit the continent of Africa? The next thing, you cannot have a continental free trade area when you don't have effective transportation running through the countries. So, if that is the case, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah.
And for me, the most important means of transportation that makes it easy is railway. What are the plans we're going to put in place to make sure that the transport system that would aid this continental free zone would allow it to work? We can't do it the way we're doing it now. If you're going to use airlines, it's costly. If you're going to use the roads we know aren't that good. So what are we going to put in place for goods to be able to move from South Africa to Ghana, from Ghana to Algeria, from Algeria to Congo? What are we going to do? We need to sit down and talk about that.
Talking about transportation, I don't want to cut your thoughts, but talking about transportation being, air travel being expensive, you find that in places like Europe and then also on the US continent, in the US, you find that they have flights that you can literally buy a ticket for $100 internally, right? But this is United States of America, right? So if we're going to do a United States of Africa, right now it doesn't make any sense. Even when you're doing phone calls, it's cheaper to call the US than to call Togo.
Yes.
Okay, and it's more expensive to fly to, say, Cameroon or Kenya than it is to go to the US or the UK.
Let's go back. Now that they've started this African continental zone, let's go back to the template of what Nkrumah wanted to do with all the other heads of states of Africa.
Okay.
Let's go back to that and see how we can better it. Okay, we don't have a United States of Africa, but we have different economic zones, SADC, ECOWAS, all that. How do we work together going forward to be able to break those barriers so that we can get to this United States of Africa we're talking about? That is the responsibility of heads of states and AU to make sure that within a certain duration of time, that can be done. Now, apart from transportation, apart from putting this in place, the next important thing is to identify those commodities that would help us start this thing. Now, I've listed some. Elvis rightly said salt. There are only 2 countries in West Africa that have natural salt deposits, Ghana and Senegal. Let's start from there. Salt makes more money than oil and gas. Salt makes more money than tourism. Salt makes more money than gold. Let's start from there. Then, we in the cocoa area, where cocoa is our main product, is bringing money in, we should look at jute. Let's start growing jute and manufacture the jute sacks here. Do you know how much we spend in importing jute sacks from Bangladesh? Nearly 500 million. Then we look at gold, where Ghana is said to be in Africa, I think now #1 producer. There are 2 countries in Ghana that, in Africa, that people know about, South Africa and Ghana. Let's try and enhance other countries. Nigeria has a lot of gold. Sierra Leone has a lot of gold and diamonds. Liberia has the same. Let's see how we harmonize it. We need to create, apart from having this, we need to create banks that can finance some of these projects for Ghanaians, for traders. We need solid banks that can raise money. And these are some of the commodities, if we can enhance it, we'll be able to do that. Added value is key. Added value is key. If we're going to stop the imports of fruit juice, we can only stop the imports of fruit juice if we add value to the produce we have in our countries. And then those bringing it from abroad, we make it more expensive for them, by putting taxes on it, and we build our own. Unless we do that over, say, the next 20 years, if we can put this in place, Africa can be looking itself as a China. If we don't do that, and it's just hearsay, and we just talk about it. I forgot one. Poultry.
Okay.
The quantum of dead chickens that are brought into Africa has to stop. And we have to build that. Then, the one that is even killing is second-hand clothing. The textile industry. We should try and grow cotton to build our textile industry so that we can make materials for people to be able to, all within here. If we don't identify these fundamental areas, then what are we trading against?
Amongst ourselves.
What is it? Is it peanuts? Is it water? Water is key. Water is key. So there's a whole list of things that we've now put this in place. We now have to sit down and find out with a fine-tooth comb what we can do. But most importantly are the banks. Because without money, a lot of these things we're talking about, we can't rely on only ADB, Agricultural Development Bank. We can't rely on some of the Nigerian banks. We need to have a banking industry that can also be able to find the money to do some of these things that we're talking
The
about.
Economic Commission of Africa has done some work on the benefits that this is likely to bring.
Okay.
And it says that currently we have a 3.4 trillion nominal gross GDP in Africa. And it says that if we go fulfill this free trade, 90% of all the goods will have their tariffs removed. So the 90% of goods that we trade among us will not have tariffs on it. So they will be without tariffs. Then it's talking about trade deficit on the continent is expected to reduce by 50.9%. That's about 51% trade deficit. So if we do this continental trade, then we do it very well.
Yeah.
You see, it says that you are possible to have an intra-African trade to grow by 24% if we are able to do this and we do it well. That is what we are going to make. And it says that if you look at Africa now, we have a $93 billion physical infrastructure gap, and we need that money to fix it. So if we can reduce our trade deficit and get some of this money, that's the only way we can fix this infrastructure gap on the continent. $16.1 billion worth of welfare gains are expected to be derived from this intercontinental free trade business. So if you look at the work, the Economic Commission for Africa, an institution I love so much because they do so much good work. Clearly, this is in the interest of the continent.
Okay.
And it's just good that reading through these figures and looking at the impact it will have on life on the continent, it clearly means that we have no choice but to do it. If we look at what the European Union has been able to do today, they are the most powerful trading bloc in the world. They can negotiate with anybody. How can Ghana go and negotiate with the European Union when it comes to economic partnership agreement? But they wanted us to negotiate as individual countries, not as ECOWAS. But they are negotiating as European Union. You see the difference? So Ghana go and face European as negotiator. How do you do it?
It's a Goliath.
So you see, if we can have 1.2 billion people saying that this is how we want to trade with Europe, this is how we want to trade with America, then we can have a voice.
I am curious, though, about the issue of travel and visas, because one of the difficulties on this continent has been the fact that we've traditionally viewed each other with suspicion, you know, and therefore all the barriers and so on, you know, you want to go to South Africa, you need a visa, you want to go to, you know, Namibia, Botswana, wherever, you need a visa and so on and so forth. And then even the process of procuring those visas are very challenging, you know. I'm wondering also about a country like South Africa seeing itself as an economic powerhouse on the continent, allowing itself to be in the same pool, as it were, with a country like, let's say, Niger, Mali, you know, and so on and so forth, who are not on their level, you know, as it were. Are these things not going to just bring issues?
You see, we cannot just say that we have brought up an African free trade zone, so that's it. We need to be able to step up, to bring those countries that are low up. What is it that they have in terms of resources that can boost them? The heads of state shouldn't just take this thing as, oh, we've got a free trade zone and that's it. They shouldn't do that. We have to now go deep down and find out. As you said, there are some countries in Africa that are war-torn. What do we do to make sure that these wars are stopped? Because if trade can build them and wars can break them down, we need to have concise measures to stop these wars. There's the question of also the militants and the terrorists. How do we negotiate to make sure that all this stops? So there's quite a lot of things that need to go on before I can see this free trade zone thing actually taking off. Now let me come to domestic. The president has indicated that we're going to donate
$10 million.
$10 million. Where are we going to get that money from? Don't you think if the president has said $10 million to this new African Union trade free, it's a good thing. Don't you think the people need to know where that money is going to come from?
I agree.
I would have thought that since it's an African thing, he should have put there for African countries to donate towards the Secretariat. And not just blanketly say, we're going to get 10 million. Well, I'm going to get it from. We need 10 million to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Look, it's raining.
It is.
Just 2 hours of rain, you see what will happen in Accra. You see what will happen in Kumasi. You see what will happen in Takrady. Forget the floods, but the people who will be displaced from continuous rain, do we not need money for that? So let him come again. He said it. Let him come again and come and tell us. It is a good thing we've got the Secretariat in Ghana. We will need money to run the Secretariat. I propose 10 million, and this is where we're going to get it from. So that, you know, people don't now start pointing fingers. Almost 10 million. No, 10 million, no way. We don't want that. We want to have a situation where when our president says something, it is supported. So that we all have a free mind. Elvis can write his editorial based on how the president says he's going to put money into this thing. I can go and sit on a radio and TV station and support what the president is saying. It's not party politics we are playing here.
But the Secretariat has a lot of benefits. First of all, local people will be employed to work there.
But Elvis, I'm not saying it doesn't have benefits.
Work here, and see, one thing why Ethiopian Airlines survives and works where people don't understand is because they host the headquarters of 2 key organizations, which African Union and the Economic Commission for Africa.
And how is it financed? It's not financed by them alone.
You go to Ethiopia, every now and then there's one conference or the other, and people are trooping in.
So
hotels are making money. So the hosting
economically is good for us.
It's a fantastic idea. If we have to contribute to make it possible, the long-term benefit of hosting that thing will be huge. So for me, as he said, the president said we will give, but telling us where we get the money is also key. But we financing it because we want to host it, for me, it's not a bad idea, because if you look at the long-term benefits of it, it could be the possibility of you even reviving your national airline, because now you have a headquarters of trade. And look at Geneva, what we call the World Trade Organization. Almost every week there's one conference going on about World Trade Organization.
Everyone is coming.
So trade is so big that the kind of revenue that we can make in terms of hosting that headquarters is huge. And therefore, for me, we should be happy to say that we have been luckily selected.
But Elvis, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not.
No, I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is, you see, your concern about where the money will come from is important. It's important. I did not say that it's not important. I'm saying that it's important. The president needs to tell us how we are going to get the money to do it. But I'm just expanding further that hosting it in itself is a very fantastic idea because the economic benefit.
The other thing, when we go in for these things, there are certain things that we need to up the game. Elvis has mentioned one, our airline. The second one is our hotels.
Tourism.
Yes, the tourism bit.
Ethiopia makes millions from tourism.
And tourism makes more money than all our natural resources. We need to build capacity in our tour guides. We need to build capacity in our... and from this point on, the president should put his eye on the tourism sector.
Because that is key.
And that is key.
That is what is going to drive people into this country. Every week there may be one conference or the other in Ghana. On trade, on something.
Let's quickly move on. We have just a couple of minutes to go. So just briefly, let's touch on this last subject. The Hosh parliamentary complex, brouhaha that has come up. There's a petition from a certain group, Dynamic Youth Movement of Ghana, who are saying that they want to petition CHRAJ. They petition CHRAJ over the proposal to build a parliamentary complex and the fact that they're asking questions, regarding that. So this just a minute to just touch on this.
Yeah, they have the right to ask, but drop the chamber is important. Drop that chamber. It's very important. The chamber must be dropped. And we are making sure it is dropped. No, see, when the court complex is to be built, the new court complex, we all saw the state of Cocoa Affairs Court. So nobody complained, why are we building a new court complex? Nobody complains. But we are looking at a parliament chamber that you and I see every day.
No. Let's be fair. It's a complex, not just a chamber. They are proposing to build an entire complex for parliament.
Please. Don't go there. The issue
Why shouldn't I go? That's what the issue is.
This parliament was renovated in 2013.
Yes.
And it was retrofitted to fit what they want.
Yes.
Yes. And they spent millions of taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Okay.
So then let's
So we are saying
Elvis,
that.
then let's rename. Why don't you say let's rename State House Parliament House, and then we know that.
But who prevented them from?
We know that we've handed over.
Please, who has prevented them? Who has prevented them? No, who has prevented them from doing that?
Because as it is
when
now,
they were going to do the renovation, they didn't know that they need that. And you go and spend a taxpayers' money to go and renovate the place. I see it on TV and say this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you are telling me that beautiful thing, you want to abandon it and go and build a new one. And we are saying that we cannot continue that way.
Yeah.
It is the public money. The one you have, the people say is good enough for you to be there. Let's use the money for other things that the people need.
They may argue that that place can be then used for State Conference Center.
Please, I am saying that, okay, my argument, and the argument drop that chamber is that where they are now, is befitting for them to be there.
Okay.
So they should remain there.
Okay.
The 200 million India is willing to give it to us, okay? We have so many pressing needs, such as, okay, we need to buy incubators for children.
Yes.
Over 8,000 babies die a year in Ghana.
There
okay,
are so many of them.
So
the maternity block is in Kumasi.
Yes.
There,
so the issue is, if Parliament building was in the state of cocoa affairs and they want to build a new one, I'm not sure that me, Elvis, I will not oppose it. But the kind of Parliament I see, I believe that we don't need a new one.
All right,
because we have competing needs for the same resources.
Final thoughts.
When Job 600 was in a deplorable state and they said they were going to find money to build it, did you hear anybody say anything?
Nope.
When they were complaining we don't have offices for parliamentarians and all that, and they voted money to build jobs, did anybody complain about it? Nobody complained about it. Look, they should get the 200 million and divide it amongst all the parliamentarians to take it into their constituencies to do work.
All right.
That is
okay.
fine.
All right. Well, thank you very much for watching the news review. My name is David Kweku Sechi. I was joined by Elvis Darko, and I was also joined by Kwame Jantua. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show. Well, we're going to continue with the next segment. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.